Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by a special guest. He is the president of the Franklin Lakes Chamber of Commerce, also the founder and CEO of the JMOR Connection. It's been in business for 28 years, and what they do is they help people who are not comfortable with technology or who are comfortable with technology in all walks of technology life. They help them, and they also strive to make the community a better place. His name is none other than John Morley. So, John, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, Curtis.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I should tell you that doesn't mean I'm wanted for any bad reasons in any parts of the world. An owner is when you start a company. An entrepreneur is when you get passion. And a serial entrepreneur is when you solve a problem with one company by starting another. So I'm an engineer. I'm a national talk show host. I'm a video producer, marketer. I'm also a first responder. And I'm also a member of the U.S. press, and I write articles a couple times a week, one on tech and one on motivation. And I just love to create amazing content. The one company now is very close to 30 years, actually. I started when I was in college. And this other company, Orbital Media, that I started about 13, 14 years ago, I started them because I had the largest marketing advertising company working for me. And I thought I was so lucky out of college that I had a company that was ripping me off before I even was making any money. And my dad never paying this company lots of money. And I decided after 14 years, I need to figure out how to get divorced from them. They were lying, cheating, stealing, and they weren't doing a great job of anything. And they didn't even print whatever I asked them to print in house. They sent it out. So I said to myself, I need to figure out how to get rid of them. But first, I got to figure out, how do I become a mom pop print shop? And that's where it all started. And just to kind of fast forward all the way through that, first 2 years, we failed miserably. And then we built a print production, graphic media, digital design center. And I produce all kinds of content. Later after that, I launched JCM Academy, which is basically my teaching arena where I coach, and I've done stuff with Harvard, Yale, keynotes, done things for AT&T, like, team buildings and all kinds of stuff like that. Now I'm the host of JMOR Tech Talk, which airs every 5:30 on Friday nights Eastern. I'm also the host of IFYL podcast, which now has about 560 some episodes. We do that every day. And I'm also the host of IFYL Drive Time Radio, which is a show that started New Jersey this past last month. And we're working to become national by the end of the year. It's a show that's about an hour. And I talk about really cutting edge technology in ways that you can help improve the quality of your life.
Wow, you're really definitely doing a lot. You also
Yes, sir.
Working, did some banking infrastructure. So tell the listeners about doing that.
Yes, so very fortunate. We helped design the security for Wall Street without giving you all the technical about it. But basically what that means is when something goes wrong now, I pretty much will get a call whenever something goes down. And it's kind of neat because, you got people that are relying on you, and knowing that I'm being trusted to keep Wall Street up is a pretty neat thing for the Northeast, even though they have places all over the world. And it's always fun to go in there and do stuff. And I've also had the privilege, because of that, had some pre-law experience. And I actually helped get 4 kids arrested and prosecuted for stealing scripts from the Bergen Hospital.
Wow. So tell us what drew you to self-motivation and self-improvement.
That's a great question. So when I graduated college, I went there for engineering. I went to University of Hartford in West Hartford, Connecticut. I graduated, and as I was about to graduate, I was one of the heads for the team that handles the money. So I was like vice president of finance. And they asked me to go present two checks to this guy who was presenting on the weekend. Our school at that time was more of a suitcase school. They all went home on the weekend. And we were paying this guy $40,000. They said, don't worry, John, just two checks, $20,000 each. You don't have to approve it. We've already approved the amount of money. You just have to present it. I said, $40,000? I said, what's the guy going to speak on? Like gold? I said, no, he's really good. Nobody told me what he's about, but $40,000 for 90 minutes seemed like a lot of money back then. I mean, that was over 15, 20 years ago. So I said, all right, I'll do it. I did some due diligence on him, and I found that he was a stage hypnotist. And I figured out what he did, and he embarrassed people, and that was kind of his gig. And so when I met him, I said, look, sir, I said, you don't know me. I said, I'm the guy that has your check. I gave him my name. I introduced myself. I said, I'm going to be very clear with you. I did my homework on you, and I know what you do. If you embarrass me or any one of these people in this left side of the theater, this check will bounce so high you won't be able to catch it. And the second check, you won't even see it. And if money doesn't bother you, which I know it probably doesn't, we'll make sure that the rest of your 40-some tours are canceled by all the other schools. They'll just start to cancel. He knew I meant business by that, Curtis, and he finished the show, came back to him, gave him the second check, and I said to him, sir, I said, doctor, I said, amazing show. I said, I'm going to recommend we put another 30 or 40,000 in the budget to have you come back again sooner. And so after that, I decided to buy one of his, at that time it was tapes. They weren't CDs. And so I got interested in what he had to do. But then I realized he was doing it for more of a facade. It really wasn't the internal purpose. It was more of something that people would fall into because they wanted to show. And I wanted to get more of the truth about how it worked. So I got certified in clinical hypnosis, went to the American Psychology College, got that. And then I also studied neurolinguistic programming, the Scylla method. And after I did that for a while, I graduated college and I wanted to get a new car. Now, I was always fortunate. My parents gave me great cars. And I think the first car I had was a Blazer. My second car was a Jeep. I had 3 Jeeps. I loved them. They were great. And my fourth car was actually an Infiniti QX4, which I liked as well. But then when I graduated, I said, I'd like to get a more luxurious car. So when I graduated, first thing I did was I went to the car dealership and I went for a test drive. And the guy said, oh, you just graduated college. I said, yeah. I said, I just graduated college. Don't have a job or anything like that. All right. So you really can't even afford the car. I said, I'm budgeting for the car. And this kid that was probably not too much older than me really didn't take me very seriously. And so I asked him if I could drive this car and they could hook up the nav. He told me no. A little bit disappointed. I start walking out the dealership with my head between my legs a little bit. And the manager comes, I says, well, can I help you? I said, yeah. I said, I want to test drive that car. He said, well, we could do that with the nav and all. I said, I'm not looking to buy it. He said, that's okay. He says, you can test drive it. We have people do it all day long. So who's your sales rep? I said, Brandon over the right. Oh, yeah, he's new. He says, I'll take care of you myself. He takes care of me. He lets me do the test drive. I come back. I take pictures. I feel the car. I smell the car. I experience the car. I hear the voice of the nav. And I just keep saying, this is my car. This is my car. This is my car. When I went home, I put that picture on my laptop, on my phone, everywhere. And I went to my proverbial car, Curtis, which was my favorite, a lounge chair at home. Closed my eyes, turned the lights down in the room, and I'd push the smart start button as I pictured closing myself, getting comfortable in the chair, and I'd hear the car start, and I would take a little drive. And I did that for, I don't know, I graduated, it was right around May, June time, so June, July, August. I did that for about 3 or 4 months. And by the end of that time, that car, I'll say magically, I mean, it wasn't magical, but it did show up it showed up in my driveway. And that's when I realized, Curtis, that I am keeping myself from doing a lot of good in life. And a lot of people are doing the same thing because there are programs that are put in our head that we don't necessarily want to be there. And we don't even know are there, but yet they're running our life. And so I said, I need to be concerned about what's in my head and figure out what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. And that's when I realized no one has the right to make me feel inferior about myself. And I started getting more into neurolinguistic programming, learning about states such as the alpha, the beta, the alpha, the theta, and delta level. And to me, I love inspiring people. That's why I do daily videos. I have a science channel. I have a motivational channel. I do unboxings. And I just believe that everyone should be treated in the best manner. I was at a dollar store not too long ago, and this lady, I'll call her Ginny, that wasn't her name, and she's not very nice to everybody, but I needed something on one of the shelves in the back. And I said, hi, Ginny, right? She's like, yeah. And I looked at her tag, and nobody ever calls her name. I said, Ginny, could you help me? I need to get the red tablecloths. They're way in the back. Is there some way you could help me get to that top shelf? And because I need like 12 of them. There's only one down here. She's like, give me a minute. And then she helped me. She came back to the register. And I said, I have one coupon. I have another one at home. Is there any possible way that I could go home and get the other coupon and come back? She's like, don't worry about it. She says, I'll just give you the second coupon. And I said, no, that's really nice of you, Jen. I said, you are such a nice person. She said, well, thanks. I said, I hope I get to see you again. I come in here all the time. You do? I said, yeah, I come in here all the time. I said, I'll make sure I check out with you all the time. And she was really nice. And everybody like, who'd you deal with? I said, I told this lady, oh, she's terrible. I said, no, she's really nice. So nobody bothered to get to know her name. And no one ever bothered to become genuinely interested. I learned that with Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence people. We always want to learn how to say someone's name and realize that the conversation has to be more about them and less about us. And that's all I did. I befriended her, Curtis, and I made a friend, and I try to do that everywhere I go. If somebody doesn't like me, I just wrote a paper, which you may want to read on LinkedIn. I wrote a paper, and basically it says not everyone should like you 24/7. If they do, there's going to be a problem. And the reason I said that is if you have everyone liking you 24/7, that means you're not bringing your A game to the table. And if you don't, someone else will.
That's right. So tell us about being the president of the Franklin Lakes Chamber of Commerce. Tell us what you do and why you decided to become a president.
So I took this over probably over 7 or 8 years ago. I turned it from a Chamber of Commerce, which was a 501c6. With my own money, I turned it into a 501c3, which is a full IRS forgivable charity, which means that you get your business expenses, but in addition to that, you also get it to be an IRS-free tax deduction. And so I just love to put all kinds of events on to bring people together. But I tell people that, we're not a group to just try to get your name out there. We're looking for quality people that want to get to know each other. And I get a lot of people, Curtis, that they say to me, hey, I want to get my business known. I'm like, well, what do you do? Oh, well, I just want to get in everybody's house in town. And I live in a very good town here, Franklin Lakes, very, very well off town. But I could tell that they didn't have good energy. They were there to try to rip people off. And I kind of consider myself, if you will, a gatekeeper on that, because I want people that want to mutually help each other. And I think that's always a challenge in organization. But I donate all the video production there, all the marketing, graphic design. Like we're getting ready to host a grand opening for PNC Bank next month. They're opening one of their branches. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. And sometimes it's not always easy to get the volunteers, but I find it's fun. Like we've done a drive for Center for Food Action many years. We do lots of different charity functions. And it's a lot of fun. And I do it because I feel it's a great way to give back. Many people that come on board, they're looking to see what they can get in their pocket. And I see if you got something in your pocket, well, then you've already been repaid. If you're doing something for the purposes of trying to help people, maybe you'll get a reward later, but you shouldn't be doing it to try to get a reward.
Tell us what you feel makes you unique in the motivational and keynote space.
That's an excellent question. There are a lot of motivational speakers, as you know. My very first motivational speech started out without me even getting paid a dime. I think it was Harvard I spoke for first. And I literally talked to this guy, a few years older than me, when I was on my way back just before, I think it was just right on spring break. I was coming home my last semester. And he did a keynote. And he's like, yeah, we need somebody in 1999. He's like, you ever done this? I said, yes. I'd never done it to that large of a crowd. And the topic came off my head, minor and major inconveniences. I think the big difference between me and a lot of other keynote speakers is I care. And I'm also really passionate about creating content that's going to arouse auditory, visual, kinesthetic, and is going to personally connect with every member of that audience, even though I can't physically shake everyone's hand. I want that content to be like, yeah, that's me, or yes, that relates to me. And to me, that is so priceless. If I could get you to change your life or change a perspective on something, it makes me really happy. So what makes me unique is that I care. When I create content, it's about the other person. It's never about me. And I always give examples, and I always give tools, tips, or techniques that you literally can implement right away without even buying anything from me. You can just use those things, plug them into your life, and you can start to get results. But a lot of people think you can't do that, or they become afraid, or they don't have confidence in themselves, which is why sometimes they need coaching.
Do you have any current or upcoming projects that you're working on that people need to know about? When is you going to write a book? When is that new book coming
Yes,
out?
I am. So 25 Gifts of Inspiration to Change Your Life will be out by the end of this year. I started working on it a little while back. And so that'll hopefully be completed. And it is my goal that when that book comes out, it's not just going to be a book, but it's going to come with some toys, if I would like to say. And there's a toy basically for each chapter. When I say a toy, it's a prop. And that prop is going to help you think and connect to that chapter. Because there's 25 gifts, there's going to be 25 props. And they're small little things. I do a JCM Academy masterclass every single week, pretty much. So believemeachieve.com is where all my great content is. And there's lots of free content on there. There's so much on there. And I just look for things that are going to change people's lives. And I know that not everyone out there wants to change their life. They say they do, but they're not willing to take the steps. This year, starting, I think it was February, we got our first regional radio show. And by the end of this year, we'll be hitting out to 41 million people by the end of the year. So we got a few things we're working on. I think the biggest thing we're working on right now is to be a motivational speaker in the United States that's going to give people a new perspective of, yes, I can do something. And just give them that, not only that push, but give them that proverbial pat on the back that, yes, I can do this. And the way I a lot of times do that is I give someone a simple technique. One of the ones I use is you have a great memory. Even when people say they don't, I do a little demonstration with them, and they're amazed at how their memory works. And I said, this is how your entire body works. So what I can do is give you the manual that will be personalized for your body, because unfortunately we didn't get one.
Speaking of your shows, tell people about your podcast, your shows, and how we can listen and what we can expect when we do listen.
Absolutely. So as I said, I have many shows. You can go to believemeachieve.com, which is basically a link tree. But if you go to believemeachieve.com 24 hours a day, you'll be greeted with hi, everyone, I'm John C. Morley, etc. A little thing there. And the first thing on there says Inspirations for Your Life podcast. If you click on that 24 hours a day, you'll be able to get access to my 560 episodes and counting of the show Inspirations for Your Life. Now, I also have Inspirations for Your Life Tuesday morning, which is our drive time, which is the show that's going to be syndicated. And that's on WTBQ.com. It's live every single Tuesday morning at 10:05 a.m. Eastern. So no matter where you are in the world, if you want to hear about great premium content, you'll be able to go there. The end of this month, we'll be releasing premium content for our paid subscribers on the Inspirations for Your Life podcast, because we believe we need to step up the game a little bit for those that really are serious about changing their life. And so we want to offer that out to people that are going to pay a few dollars, not because we want to charge them, but I want people to make a commitment in their lives. And I feel if we ask them for $10 or $20 a month, I know they're going to be serious and they're going to be vested in doing what I tell them. If it's just coming off a free show, it's not going to really matter much. So we figure, why give that information to everybody? Because not everybody's going to appreciate it. We also have the next link, third one down, is JCM Academy's master classes. You can scroll down. There's my daily videos, which are pretty amazing. My TikTok. I write recent articles every week. I write 2 articles. I wrote an article about the man, Percy Spencer, who was the genius behind the microwave. He's the man who brought, I think it was a candy bar to work, and it melted. Talked about the lady who helped design the dishwasher in 1850. She wasn't even an engineer, but she had her family that were engineers. And then we have JCM Academy Business Coaching. We have JMOR Connection. We have the JMOR Tech Channel, which is all our tech shows. And we also have the John C. Morley Serial Entrepreneur Group, which is a great group that basically highlights a lot of things that entrepreneurs want to know in regard to business. I think everyone out there wants to make a change in some capacity, but the biggest challenge is they're not as committed as they say they are. So if you say something, you don't commit to it, then how can you be disappointed with yourself if you don't get results, if you were never that passionate anyway? I always say you have to ask, you have to believe, and you have to receive. And this, I'm going to turn back to a religious quote. I don't know if your show's religious or not. I try not to mention it too much, but I am religious. And so on the show, we talked about something I learned from Facing the Giants. And there was this man, Mr. Bridges, who was in the hallway. And Grant was this coach they were about to throw out, unfortunately, because he wasn't winning football games. So he was having problems at home, having a kid, keeping a healthy life. His car wasn't working. The team wasn't winning, and they're ready to throw him out. And he didn't know what to do. And he prayed about it. And then he went to the football team and said, I'm not here to have you win football games. He said, what? That's not my sole purpose for you to be here to win football games. Well, why are we here? You tell me. Well, to impress our parents. Nope. Anyone else? So we can impress our grandkids and they can tell other people and we can coach Little League. Nope, that's not why you're here. Well, why are we here, coach? You're here because you want to glorify God. And as soon as you understand that, you'll start winning games. He said, so God doesn't want us to play football games? He does, if that's what you want to do. But remember, if you win or you lose, you always got to give glory to God. And when he changed that whole philosophy, the team kept winning. And at the very end, when was one game they lost, and all of a sudden they were all very sad about this one game they lost, the head guy calls in and has a message for the coach. He calls an emergency meeting when the whole team was basically packing all their equipment away. And he says, I work for a greater God, a God that can open doors that no one can, a God that can shut doors that no one can open. And today, we've got proof of his power. That team on Friday night played with 2 illegal below 18-year-old individuals. And therefore, that team's forfeit, and we're going to the World Series. So it was just very interesting how we had this perspective. And it made me reminisce another guest that I had on one of my shows last week. And she wrote a book, Margaret Agard, about putting your to-do list together every day and giving it up to God. And if we win, we have to praise God. If we lose, we also have to praise him. So that kind of sat home with me a little bit.
Absolutely. BelieveMeAchieve.com. Close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe something I forgot to touch on that you would like to talk about, or just any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Sure. Well, you did an excellent job, Curtis. It was a pleasure to be your guest today. I would say a couple things. First of all, I always welcome people if they're looking to get in touch with me and they want to be a guest on my shows. Happy to have you reach out to me and we can do a pre-interview and see if it's a fit. But I want to leave everyone with an important thought tonight. And that thought is we become what we think about most often. Okay. Our wherever our thoughts go is where our energy is going to flow. That's consistent. So we change our words, we change our thoughts. We change our thoughts, we change our mind. If we truly change our mind, we will in fact improve the quality of our life. And that is what I know everybody here listening to this podcast wants to do with their life.
Ladies and gentlemen, believemeachieve.com. Please check out everything that John's up to. Purchase his book when it comes out later in the year. Check out his site, check out his shows. John really is doing everything that he can to make this world a better place. And follow, rate, review, share this episode as well as the show. Be sure to tell a friend, share it to as many people as possible. If you have any topic or guest suggestions, cjackson102@cox.net is the best place to send them. John, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Curtis. It was truly a privilege, a pleasure, and honor to be on your show and to talk to your wonderful audience.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.